In the endless silence of deep space, beyond the reach of planets, a faint visitor drifts inward. At first it is nothing more than a dot among countless stars, another anonymous sparkle in the black. But careful eyes notice it moving, shifting its place ever so slightly against the background sky. Computers crunch numbers. Orbital paths are projected. Then comes the realization that spreads like a shiver. This is no ordinary comet or asteroid. It is not bound to the gravity of the sun. It does not trace the familiar closed ellipses of our solar system. It is a stranger, a wanderer, an interstellar traveler. The year is written as 2025. The world's telescopes scan the heavens as they always do, hunting for asteroids that might pose danger to Earth. Among them is the Atlas system, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, designed to raise the alarm if any rock comes too close. Yet in July of that year, Atlas sees something far more extraordinary. Not a threat, but a revelation. The faint light it captures will soon be known everywhere as 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever seen by human eyes. The name tells its tale. The designation begins with the number 3, because only 2 interstellar objects have ever been discovered before. The first, in the year 2017, was Oumuamua, a strange, elongated body that flashed through the inner solar system like a cosmic spear, tumbling and glinting, never behaving quite as expected. It left astronomers divided, and some even wondered aloud if it could be artificial. The second, in 2019, was Borisov, far more ordinary, a true comet, complete with tail and coma, though still exotic in its origins. And now, Atlas becomes the third in this line of celestial wanderers. Its orbit is hyperbolic, not an ellipse that bends back toward the sun, but a sharp curve that will never close. Atlas has come from unimaginable distances, perhaps from a star system so far removed that its sun is older than ours by billions of years. It sweeps into our neighborhood only once, paying its brief visit, before it is hurled back outward, away into the night. There will never be another chance. We have only a fleeting moment to learn its secrets before it vanishes forever. When the first images of Atlas circulate, astronomers feel a rush of recognition and unease. Unlike Oumuamua, which remained frustratingly bare and silent, Atlas looks every inch a comet. A halo of gas already surrounds its hidden nucleus, forming the glowing sphere we call a coma. A tail drags faintly behind, spilling into the void. It is alive with activity, even though it still drifts far from the warmth of the inner planets. But even here the strangeness begins. Atlas is too bright for its distance. Where other comets would still sleep in frozen silence, this one awakens early, as if stirred by a hidden flame. Telescopes spread across Earth catch its faint spectra, measuring the gases it exhales. The results deepen the mystery. Instead of water vapor dominating, as in nearly every comet of our solar system, Atlas is rich in carbon dioxide, ice from another star, with a chemistry unlike our own. For scientists, this is a gift beyond price. Each flicker of light carries the fingerprints of a system we will never visit, a world orbiting a star we may never even see. They know they must act fast. Atlas is on a one-way path. In months it will fade into the outer dark, leaving only questions. Every telescope is turned upon it, desperate to capture every possible secret before the stranger is gone. News travels first along quiet channels, observatory mailing lists, late-night calls between researchers who speak in careful tones. Then the story breaks into public view, and the wider world looks up. A visitor from beyond the sun, a comet from another star. Headlines flare, some breathless, some skeptical, all unable to resist the phrase interstellar. For the teams who first measured the light, the thrill is mixed with urgency. Interstellar objects move fast. Observation windows open and close like shutters. Weather can steal nights. A single week of cloud can erase what the cosmos offers only once. So telescopes are booked, schedules torn up, instruments tuned until their housings sing. The race begins to see as much as possible before the stranger slips past and the dark folds over it again. To understand what makes this visitor odd, we must remember what comets of our own system usually do. They slumber in the cold outskirts for ages, dark as stone. As they fall sunward, the warming light wakes their surfaces. Water ice sublimates into gas, a halo swells, and the solar wind combs a bright tail into space. Patterns repeat. The chemistry is familiar. Water first, then carbon-bearing gases, then dust. Atlas does not read from that script. It shows a brightness that seems out of place for its distance, as though old sunlight is trapped within it and now escapes. Its coma stirs early, and when spectra arrive, whispering the fingerprints of its ices, the balance tilts toward carbon dioxide in a way that makes veteran comet watchers frown and lean closer. Is this simply what comets are like in other star systems? Or is Atlas a shard from a stranger kind of nursery altogether? Speculation blooms careful at first. Perhaps the crust is thin, exposing fresh layers that vent easily. Perhaps the nucleus was fractured long ago, opening veins of trapped gas. Perhaps it formed far from its birth star, in a colder realm where carbon dioxide froze in abundance, while water remained scarce. Each possibility is a door, and behind each door the architecture of a distant solar system unfolds in imagination. Yet mystery is part of the draw. The object is not ours to keep. It will never circle back for a second look. Astronomers speak of it in the present tense, with a reverence usually reserved for ancient relics. Atlas is a time capsule in motion, a messenger that does not pause to be read. Our task is to catch meaning from the streak of its passing, to read a library contained in a single drifting page. As Atlas approaches, the calculations of its path grow sharper. The numbers confirm what the first hints suggested. Its orbit is hyperbolic, an open curve that cannot be closed by the pull of the sun. It will pass once and then be gone forever, carrying its mysteries into the dark between stars. The speed is breathtaking. By the time its presence is widely known, it is already racing inward at tens of kilometers each second, a cosmic visitor unwilling to linger. For the astronomers who watch, there is a sense of both wonder and grief. Wonder at the chance to study material not native to our system. Grief that the encounter will be so short, a flash of knowledge before silence returns. They speak of it as if of a guest who enters, glances around the room, and departs without ever sitting down. Comparison is inevitable. Oumuamua in 2017 was thin, elongated, and strangely reflective. It showed no coma, no tail, only odd acceleration that sparked whispers of artificial origin. Borisov in 2019 behaved far more like a standard comet, though it carried subtle differences in its chemistry. Atlas is stranger still, brighter, earlier, and chemically tilted toward carbon dioxide. It is at once familiar and alien. Each of these objects has rewritten how we imagine interstellar space. No longer empty, it seems filled with shards, debris from other solar systems drifting for ages until they brush ours. Atlas joins this lineage not as a curiosity, but as a third chapter in a new story. Humanity now knows that visitors from beyond are not rare miracles, but recurring truths. The sky is open. What stirs most is the question of origin. Where did Atlas begin its long journey? Astronomers trace its trajectory backward, running models that rewind the clock across millions of years. The answer is not precise. It has passed too close to too many stars to plot with certainty, but the clues suggest it may hail from the thick disk of the Milky Way, a realm of older stars that drift above and below the galaxy's spiral arms. If so, Atlas may be billions of years older than the planets of our solar system. Imagine an object older than Earth itself, older than the Sun, carrying within it the frozen chemistry of a star system long faded. To study Atlas is to touch something ancient beyond imagining. It is not only a comet, it is a relic of galactic history. The implications ripple outward. If Atlas formed around another star, then its chemistry tells us what conditions were like there. The high presence of carbon dioxide might mean that the nursery of its birth was colder or richer in certain gases. It hints that solar systems may be far more varied in their architecture than we had thought. Every new measurement widens the picture of what worlds beyond might look like. And yet, as scientists collect their data, another current stirs among the public. For them, the story is less about chemistry and more about the romance of a cosmic traveler, a stranger from beyond, glowing in our sky, then leaving without farewell. It becomes a symbol of the unknown, of loneliness, of mystery. Myths always grow where facts end. Atlas is watched night after night. Telescopes capture its faint glow, breaking its light into spectra, each color a fingerprint of elements released. The balance remains unusual. Water vapor exists, but the carbon dioxide dominates. Dust pours away, forming a hazy plume. What it means is debated in conference halls, in late-night video calls between teams on opposite sides of the world. To some, the answer is simple. Comets vary. Chance alone can sculpt one to carry more of one ice than another. In this view, Atlas is no mystery. It is simply variety. Yet even these cautious voices admit that such chemistry, while not impossible, is rare. And rarity, when it arrives from another star, demands attention. The human mind dislikes gaps. Where data is thin, imagination floods in. Already whispers begin that Atlas is not entirely natural. The memory of Oumuamua lingers. Its strange shape, its unexplained acceleration, the debates that still echo about whether it could have been a probe. For those who hunger for contact, Atlas becomes another chance. What if this is not ice and dust, but something designed? What if the glow is not only vapor, but signal? Mainstream astronomers are cautious. There is no evidence of anything artificial. Yet they cannot deny that the public is fascinated. A comet from another system is already a miracle. To dream it could be a messenger makes headlines leap and imaginations burn. Other voices turn not to technology, but to biology. Could such a body carry the seeds of life? The theory of panspermia has long suggested that comets may scatter organic molecules between worlds, perhaps even between stars. If Atlas formed around another sun, Could it bear the chemistry of alien biologies? Amino acids or other precursors trapped in its ice? Laboratories test for signatures, but distance makes it hard. What they catch is mostly light reflected and absorbed. They cannot reach into the nucleus itself. And so the question remains open, tantalizing. If fragments could be captured, if dust could be studied directly, perhaps answers might come. But the comet moves too fast. The chance is too fleeting. For now, each theory is a window. One shows a natural comet, nothing more. Another reveals the cradle of a star system we will never see. Another whispers of life drifting between suns. Another echoes with the possibility of machines, alien, ancient, silent. All are possible. None can be proved. Astronomers know they must walk carefully. To shout too loudly about alien technology invites ridicule. To dismiss it entirely risks ignoring the extraordinary. The balance is delicate. They present data, they present models, but always they admit the truth. So much remains unknown. For the public, certainty matters less than story. Atlas becomes a headline, a point of wonder, a topic for podcasts and late-night debates. People ask what it means that our skies are crossed by visitors from other stars. Some find comfort, imagining that the galaxy is rich with exchange, a constant drift of fragments. Others feel dread. If objects can travel between stars so easily, what else might pass through, unannounced? And so the comet becomes both beacon and omen, depending on the eyes that watch it. A scientific gift, a cultural riddle, a mirror in which we see either hope or fear. The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. Across the world, newspapers print the words, Interstellar Visitor. For many readers, this is the first time they realize that such things are even possible, that icy bodies from distant stars can enter our neighborhood. Some marvel at the beauty. Others ask whether it could strike Earth, whether it is dangerous. Scientists assure them the orbit is safe. Atlas will sweep past, never close enough to harm. But the human mind clings to the drama of the unknown. For some, the idea of a cosmic wanderer sparks poetry. Artists sketch the glowing body against the dark. Musicians compose, inspired by the thought of something older than our sun brushing against our sky. The comet becomes more than science. It becomes story, myth, metaphor. In its glow, people see loneliness, or connection, or destiny. Each interpretation says less about Atlas and more about us. Meanwhile, in observatories, urgency rises. The window for study is short. Nights of cloud or storms can erase opportunities that will never return. Scientists beg for time on great instruments, on Gemini South, on the Very Large Telescope, on space-based eyes that can capture wavelengths impossible from the ground. Each observation feels like sand slipping through fingers. The comet grows brighter. Its tail stretches wider. But each day it also races outward, climbing away from the sun, heading toward the edge of vision. Astronomers know the pattern well. They are watching a vanishing act, performed by a guest who will never encore. Theories multiply in this narrow gap between arrival and departure. Some insist Atlas is simply an exotic comet, nothing more, nothing less. Others see in its chemical imbalance the fingerprint of a very different kind of planetary nursery. Some whisper that this could be evidence of panspermia, life's raw ingredients traveling from star to star on icy rafts, and a few still wonder if the anomaly in its glow, its strange behavior, could point to something not natural at all. For the cautious scientist, the role is not to deny wonder, but to separate it from wishful thinking. They gather numbers, they model jets of gas, they plot how sunlight drives the tail. They remind the public that mystery does not always mean miracle, but in the silence between the data points, speculation thrives. Governments and agencies discuss the possibility of intercept. Could a spacecraft be launched to chase Atlas, to catch dust, to see its nucleus up close? Missions are proposed in sketches and papers, but reality intrudes. Rockets take years to prepare. Atlas is moving too fast. By the time design becomes action, the comet will be gone. The chance is lost. This adds to the poignancy. We can watch, but not touch. We can measure, but not sample. Atlas will leave behind no fragments, no rocks that fall into our atmosphere. Its gift is only the light that crosses the void to our telescopes. That light must be enough. For some, this fleeting nature is what makes the object most haunting. If we had years, if we had missions, if we had time, the mystery could shrink under microscopes and instruments. Instead, we have only months. Then it is gone, carrying with it secrets we may never learn. The brevity of the encounter turns Atlas into a symbol of impermanence. The comet is not rare because it is unique, but because it reminds us how small our moment is. Stars live for billions of years. Planets circle for eons. But our chance to look, to understand, to even notice, is measured in days. That is what makes Atlas a mystery. Not only what it is, but how little time we have to know it. As the weeks pass, Atlas begins to fade from casual headlines, but in the circles of science, it grows only more fascinating. Papers circulate filled with spectra, brightness curves, orbital mechanics. Each chart is a fragment of a puzzle that will never be fully solved. But every fragment is precious. They are pieces of a story written not in words, but in chemistry and light. The comet's unusual behavior continues to nag. Why such a strong release of carbon dioxide compared to water? Why the early stirring, the brightness at distances where most comets sleep? Explanations are proposed, but none settle the matter completely. For every answer, a question blooms behind it. The mystery does not shrink, it expands. To place Atlas in context, astronomers look backward. Oumuamua in 2017, Borisov in 2019, now Atlas in 2025. 3 objects in less than a decade. Before that, none at all. What changed? Did we suddenly become lucky? Or are we only now learning to see what was always there? The answer lies in technology. Surveys like Atlas, Pan-STARRS, and others now sweep the skies with relentless precision. We are opening our eyes wider than ever before. The galaxy has always cast its fragments into the dark. Only now do we notice them. The sky is thick with wanderers. Our system is not a sealed garden, it is a crossroads. This realization carries weight. If fragments from other stars fall into our skies, then fragments from ours must fall into theirs. A constant exchange, a galactic drift of ice and rock, billions of couriers carrying billions of messages between systems. Some messages are simple: chemistry, minerals, frozen gas, but some could carry more. Complex molecules, perhaps even the building blocks of life. Suddenly, the panspermia theory gains new light. Life's seeds may not only travel within a system, but across the stars. Perhaps comets like Atlas are not accidents, but the very means by which life spreads. A slow, patient colonization of the galaxy, carried not by ships, but by frozen messengers. Of course, another question always follows. If we receive their fragments, do they receive ours? Somewhere, on a world circling another sun, might astronomers look up and measure a faint visitor glowing in their skies, and realize that it came not from them, but from us. Might a comet from our system carry dust across the void to seed the imagination of another species? It is a humbling thought. We are not isolated. We are participants in a galactic conversation, even if we do not yet understand the language. Each interstellar comet is a word spoken in that tongue, a syllable of a story that stretches far beyond our lives, beyond our world. And so comparisons continue. Oumuamua, silent, strange, perhaps artificial. Borisov, natural but exotic. Atlas, somewhere in between, both comet and anomaly. Together they sketch a spectrum of possibilities. They show us that the galaxy is not sterile, not empty. It is restless. Objects wander between suns like travelers on an ancient road. 3 interstellar visitors in less than a decade suggests a pattern. More will come. Each will bring its own riddles, its own chemistry, its own story. But Atlas, with its strange brightness and alien balance of gases, will remain the one that startled us most. It arrived not as silence, like Oumuamua, nor as ordinary as Borisov. It arrived already awake, already whispering secrets in the light of a star it will never circle again. By late in the year, Atlas begins to fade. Its coma thins, its tail dissolves into the dark. Telescopes strain to hold it, pushing exposure times longer and longer, until the faint glow still registers against the star field. The data slows. The papers already written will become the permanent record. Atlas is slipping from sight. For the scientists who spent sleepless nights chasing its light, there is both pride and sorrow. Pride that they captured what they could. Sorrow that so much remains out of reach. They know the pattern will repeat. Another visitor will come someday, but Atlas itself will never return. It is gone, racing outward to places we will never follow. In the public mind, the comet lingers longer. People remember the headlines, the glowing images, the phrase interstellar. For them, it becomes a story of mystery, a tale told beside the larger mysteries of existence. What else drifts between stars? How many strangers pass by unnoticed? Could some carry life? Could some carry messages? Atlas becomes a canvas onto which we project our questions. In art, in song, in imagination, the comet continues its second life. Scientists measure data. Poets measure meaning. Both are true. Both give Atlas a legacy. Comparisons return once more. Oumuamua was the first shock. Borisov the first confirmation, Atlas the first to truly unsettle, to bend what we thought we knew of comets. Together, they are the beginning of a new chapter in astronomy, a chapter where the solar system is no longer an island, but a harbor along a galactic sea, open to all who drift. The fact that we have seen 3 interstellar objects in less than a decade suggests countless others have passed unnoticed in ages before telescopes could see them. It is not a rare event. It is a truth revealed late. We live in a crossroads of stars. And so Atlas leaves us with both knowledge and mystery. Knowledge of its chemistry, its orbit, its ancient origin. Mystery in its strange brightness, its alien ratios, its awakening far from the sun. We know more than we did, and yet we know so very little. The silence it leaves is louder than the data. For humanity, that silence is part of the gift. We are reminded that our sky is not ours alone, that strangers pass through, that we are not central, not the only audience of the galaxy. The universe is larger, older, and stranger than our certainties. Picture it now, a faint traveler, its tail stretched thin, shrinking into the black. It carries within it the memory of another sun, the chemistry of another age, the silence of another world. It will wander for millions of years more, passing stars we will never see, carrying questions we will never answer. We called it 3-Eye Atlas. We studied it for a moment, then it was gone. A ghostly visitor, a time capsule of ice and dust, a message without words. Its legacy is not in what we solved, but in what we still wonder. Perhaps 3-Eye Atlas is harmless, or perhaps once before something like it changed everything. Could that be how the age of the dinosaurs ended? If you found this story as fascinating as I did, subscribe to this channel, and together we'll follow the trail of real mysteries that never let go.